Hello everyone, this is Magic Chester. We'll be reviewing the magic performance by a Japanese magician by the name of Kotaro Fujiyama. Kotaro presents his work in a traditional Japanese magic way, which is different from what I'm used to doing and what I'm used to seeing. And I'm hoping that by reviewing this and studying this, I will be able to make a more mysterious performance myself.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Kotaro Fujiyama. Nice to meet you today. Do you know that in Japan there is a unique magic since the Edo period called Tezuma? Tezuma is unique because of its mitate technique and its storytelling approach, other than its not like the usual magic. Mitate is a technique to make something look like something else. For example, today I will perform butterfly trick, in which I will use twisted piece of papers to express living butterflies. In mitate, it is important to leave some room for imagination. The shape of the tool is simple, so it lets the audience see through their imagination. The story is about the lives of butterflies, in which butterflies fly, find partners, and eventually die. After their death, many of their children butterflies fly away to start their own journey. This concept of death and life represents sense of transience, a theme common in Japanese arts and literature. Please feel the lives of us, human, through the lives of butterflies. I hope you will enjoy it.
As a note, the music there is played live. It's shown a little bit off screen, but the music there is played live. How often do you see that a magic performance is brought to you with live music that supports and carries the performance? I think that is wonderful. That is wonderful. He did what? He created a string of small papers out of torn, larger paper. He's not asking for an applause there, but that is pretty magical what he did there. You would expect that after tearing apart paper, it would become small pieces of paper and not a string of papers. That's quite nice. He's not begging for applause. He's not making a big effect out of this. And I think that the audience, most of the audience, wouldn't even have caught that what he did here was very special. All right. he used a very subtle way there to make it appear much more strongly that the butterfly is being supported by the air that he wafts with the fans, by the way that he puts the fans around the butterfly. He makes it appear as if only the air that he is producing, only the wind that he is producing with the fans is what is causing the butterfly to fly. It is very subtle. He's not asking for a lot of attention to that movement, but it is there, and it is very strong, and it is a wonderful thing. It's a thing that Darwin Ortiz asks for as well in his book Strong Magic. It's a subtlety, and he is again not asking for a lot of attention for it, but it makes the effect so much stronger. Now, for a moment there, I was afraid that we couldn't see the butterfly because the butterfly is lightly colored and the one fan is gold, and then the light shining on the fan makes the butterfly invisible. But that happened for only a short moment of time, and then the butterfly got lifted up again and is shown against the black background, which makes it very visible. And there he lets the butterfly land on the roses. And the music changes, the rhythm in the music changes, and the feeling in the music changes accordingly. We have reached a new phase in the magic performance here. An American performer probably wouldn't have drawn this out as long as happened here. The pulling forward of that sideways, it's sideways, the pulling sideways of that butterfly out of the middle of the stage towards the roses. I get the impression that an American performer would have done that faster. But it is necessary because it introduces a moment of rest. It introduces a moment of introspection, and then the music changes as well. And without that moment of rest in the performance, where that and the audience takes that moment as a cue to start applauding, which is probably correct, but without that moment of rest, you wouldn't have noticed that the music changes, and you wouldn't have been prepared for the next phase of the presentation. Let's watch what happens next. Very nice. Now we have two butterflies. We don't know where the second butterfly came from, but it is very apparent that the butterflies multiplied. And now both of the butterflies are being wafted up into the air using the fans. It's very nice. And there the butterflies land on top of the fans. And he also put the fans on top of the butterflies there for a moment to make sure that we understand that it's the fans that are propelling the butterflies. Again, very subtly done. And he's also keeping his eyes on the butterflies. He's not looking at the audience. He's not calling out for a victory moment. He's not calling out for an applause. He's not begging for a grand hurrah. So, very different performance style than what I'm used to seeing. The one butterfly is dying. And it's apparent from the fact that the butterfly won't fly. It is falling to the ground. And the music also changed feeling. Very well presented, that part. That was great. That was wonderful. And the audience there took that cue. He waited there for a moment with the ribbon stretched out, and waited there for a moment and looked up at the audience, and the audience caught that as a cue to applaud, which was probably okay. That was great. That was completely unexpected. Maybe if you had seen this a couple times, you would have known that it would happen. But there was no cue in his movements. I thought maybe there's going to be a separate butterfly. Maybe the butterflies disappear. Maybe they change color. No, they change back into a ribbon. Let's see whether we can find out what is going to happen to this ribbon. he keeps the ribbon inside. He did this previously with the fans as well. He put the fan into his mouth a couple times. He put the fan into his mouth and then moved on with his hands to something else, and then moved the fan out of his mouth again. And he does the same thing with this ribbon here. After stretching it out, he puts the ribbon into his mouth while he grabs the roses and puts the roses aside, and then continues to prepare the table for something else. And he picks something else up. I don't know, I didn't see what he picked up. He picked up something, but he made it apparent that he put the roses away and picked up something else, and he made it apparent that the ribbon is still a ribbon, and it is a large amount of ribbon too. This makes it all the more surprising that that appeared all of a sudden out of nowhere, out of his hands. Very convincing, very convincing. All right. We've seen that a couple times, but yes, that is a great effect. That is wonderful. He dipped, so he produced a bowl, and he produced a glass, and it wasn't magic. That bowl production was not a magic production. He just pulled it out from the table, put it on top of the table, grabbed the glass. With water, pulled it out from the table, poured that into the bowl, put the glass away, and then grabbed the ribbon from his mouth, dipped it into the bowl to make it wet, and then tossed it to the audience, and changed it from being a wet, soggy splurge of paper into a bunch of streams of paper streams, white paper streams that showed up very well against the background. Now, we've seen something similar in other performances where pieces of paper were made wet and then dried up and torn into confetti, dried confetti, where the dried confetti was wafted towards the audience with fans or with either handheld fans or mechanical fans or whatever. This is a variation on that theme. I'm not quite sure how it fits into the story. It is definitely a surprise, and the audience caught that surprise. It's a third surprise, I think, as far as I've counted it. The first surprise, the audience didn't catch. That was when he tore up the paper and created a stream of small bits of paper out of it. The audience didn't catch that surprise, but they definitely caught this one. I'm not sure how that fits into the remainder of the story, so let's see. Right. So, yes, he fit in that effect where you make the entire piece of paper wet, and then it gets torn apart into confetti that wafts into the air. Now, the way that this is added into the entire routine is with the butterflies. These are supposed to be the butterflies' children, so they procreated even though the one butterfly passed away. These are the new children, and they will go on their merry way and make more butterflies elsewhere. That is a wonderful thing, and the audience did catch this effect and is applauding it, and that is nice. He also looked into the audience to indicate that an applause is warranted at this point, which he didn't do the entire time that he was making the butterflies fly with the fans. He didn't look into the audience once. He was focused on the butterflies, and the audience didn't clap. The audience was silent. So here we've come not entirely full circle, but procreation happened, and here are all the small little butterflies. Some very subtle convincers were added in there. I'll happen on that some other time, maybe in my Patreon, where I can point out what those convincers are and how you should try and put those into your own routines. Let's watch the remainder of this. Wonderful, wonderful, and it is done. So when we think back of the one moment where the ribbon got dipped into the water bowl and then pulled out and got thrown at the audience, and it made this big splash. Looking back, I think that was supposed to be the moment of procreation. That probably made more sense to a Japanese person who is accustomed to a level of symbolism that I'm not accustomed to. But looking back, maybe that symbolized the moment of procreation. We had a moment of dying. We had a moment of procreation. We had a moment where all of the new butterflies came and populated the air twice. Overall, this was a very nice demonstration, a very nice performance. What was lacking, very specifically lacking, was a constant begging for applause and worship. When the magician stops the performance and says, "Hey, look here! I did the magic effect here. Now come and applaud." He didn't do that a lot. He did it once or twice, where he looked the audience straight in the eye and made it apparent that something special had happened. I think he changed his behavior because the first two surprises, the first two magic effects, didn't get caught by the audience and they didn't applaud. So I think he changed how he behaved based on the audience's reaction and put moments into his behavior to let the audience know, yes, something special happened here. Now is your moment to applaud. I wonder whether a Japanese audience, and I should ask any of my Japanese viewers that if you are Japanese and you're accustomed to seeing Japanese performances, would you applaud during the performance, or would you applaud at the end of the performance? Would you applaud at all? We are used to performances where there's quick fire effect after effect, and we would applaud for every effect, and then the applause itself is used as a moment to set up the next effect. So in a performance like this, if you're Japanese and you're used to this kind of performance, do you have the same feeling? Would you be applauding while the performance is happening, or would you wait until the end? Let me know, enlighten me. I have definitely picked something up here. This is definitely different from what I'm used to. What did you get out of this performance? Let me know. Let's have a discussion. Let's make magic more mysterious.